Om Sakna Bhavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhi Namastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om. Salutations to all. So we are seeing in the fourth canto, chapter 29, Naradji explains the symbolism of the story of Puranjana to this Raja Prachinabarhi. And he tells him that Puranjana is the Jiva, the lady Puranjani is the mind, the city is the body, the senses, the snake. Full explanation he has given, whole symbolism and how he is attacked and how this Jvara, Prajvara, all that we saw. So the body is the chariot. That's the second analogy that he gives. The body is the chariot having the senses of perception for its horses, coursing swiftly like the ear through the, though really it is motionless. Then the two good actions, bad actions, they are the wheels. The three gunas are the three flagstaff. The five vital airs are the five reins. The mind is the single rein. The intellect is the charioteer. The heart is the seat of the occupant of the chariot. The pairs of opposites, the poles, and the objects of the five senses, the recesses, the seven constituent elements with which the body is made. They are the seven protective sheets. And the five organs of action are the five kinds of outward motion. So the Jiva runs after the mirage of sense gratification, followed by the 10 indriyas, and the mind as his army, and unlawfully enjoying the five forms of sensual pleasures, which have been figuratively spoken of as slaughtering of animals. So this is what the Jiva is doing. The ear symbolizes the passage of the time, is referred to as the Chandavega. Chandavega had attacked with his army. They are the Gandharva, chief of Gandharva. So 360 days and nights, the male and the female. So days and nights have been spoken of as the 360 male and same number of female Gandharvas who steal the life of a human being by rotation. Old age is personified as the daughter of Kala, which is why nobody wants the daughter of Kala, nobody wants to become old. Then death is the person of the Yavana chief, Bhaya. Accepted her as the sister. Bhaya accepts this daughter of Kala, which is symbolic of old age, as a sister. And these mental anguishes and physical disorders are the Yavanas, and the fever of two kinds is personified as Prajvara, who is described as having a swift career in tormenting living beings. Now this way, this Jiva is bound by the body, mind, intellect, bound by the three gunas. And as per the guna, the Jiva goes up and down in life and after life also. So all that was said, that the Jiva goes to the higher planes if it is predominated by Sattva guna, in the middle planes like earth and bhuvar, loka, etc., if it is predominated by Rajas, and lower planes if it is predominated by Tamas. Then the Jiva is sometimes born as a male, sometimes as a female, as a human, sometimes as animal, plant, bird. The cycle of the Jiva's transmigration goes on. Now, he also says that like a dog who is, the analogy he gives is a dog which is seized with hunger goes from door to door and has to accept whatever is given. Some places is given cooked rice, some places is given a beating. Same way Jiva is begging for happiness in the world. And as per one's past karma, one has to face all the results, ups and downs one goes through. So he says there is no absolute freedom for the human being. Jiva has no absolute freedom. We may have some relative freedom. We may have some more choices, and we seem to be able to make certain things as per our will, as per our choice. Some people appear to have more power when they have attained certain position, certain wealth, certain status, etc. But all this is in the relative plane. He says absolute freedom is not there for the Jiva in this way of life, in this relative plane. And further he goes on to say that just like a man carrying a heavy burden on the shoulders, shifts that from one shoulder to the other, but it is still on the shoulder only. So not from one shoulder to the other, from head to the shoulder. Somebody is carrying a very huge head, a huge shoulder on the huge weight on the head. To unburden oneself, one puts it on the shoulder. But it is still that a person only is carrying it. So here that's what he says, that so many relief methods that one does, they are like that. The remedies, the relief method, they temporarily appear. The burden is shifted on the shoulder, so the head feels little light, but it is a matter of time, shoulder will start paining again, then one has to put on the head. So he says the relief methods are like that. Another analogy he gives. In a dream, so the analogy given, even as a dream, in a dream, constitutes only a change of one dream experience to another. So if you are dreaming, inside that there is another dream. Then he says that is the only change from one dream experience to another, but one is not woken up. So the dream experience, one inside the other, it will have its own ups and downs and sorrows and joys. From that dream, one as though comes out and comes into the first dream. Again, it will have its ups and downs because one doesn't know what the reality is. And so here that's what he says. So mere action, divorce from the realization of truth, is no ultimate remedy to get free from the cycle of birth and death, to experience fulfillment. If one says this karma I will do, which is maybe living in the world, doing the family duties, doing work, getting success, achievement, power, wealth, all that. From that, if one says, no, I will shift and I will do rituals, which are religious rituals, and that will give me a lot of punya, etc. So Naradji is actually explaining to Prachinabarhi Rishi this because he's very attached to rituals, and he slaughters animals, and many times he does live in a very indulgent way, even in adharmic ways. That's what it was said earlier, that slaughter of animals is symbolic of the adharmic actions also. And the feeling is that I will get away with it. And so from those worldly actions, even to so-called spiritual actions, if one changes. See, the rituals when they are done dedicating to Bhagavan, or even when they are done out of pure devotion as offering to Bhagavan, that's a different matter. It will purify. No doubt we require that. But that also, it will only purify the mind. It will not bring Brahmagyan by itself. So the purpose is not to condemn rituals or to say that I will not do any puja, I will not do any japa, I will not do any upvas and vrata, and all this is not going to lead me to realization. The idea is not that. Idea is to understand the root cause of the sorrow is ignorance, and that can be removed only by knowledge. Any amount of karma will not remove that. So he says this, that just as a person, so there's no ultimate remedy for this person who is in the dream, because this is, both are being considered in ignorance. Both the dreams are because of ignorance of the waker. So the dream experience will not cease until a person wakes up. So that's only a relief. Until that person wakes up, the cure is not there, which is what he tries to say here, that for a person, this cycle of transmigration will not change. From one yoni to another, one may come. From a poor background to a wealthy background, one may come. From, let us say, being lonely to having more companionship, one may come. But it is within the realm of illusion. One is not woken up. And as per the karma in that illusion, one will still take birth. It's not that illusion will get over by itself. See, in the dream analogy, the limitation is one just wakes up. One doesn't have to do sadhana to wake up. That's the limitation of dream analogy, because there also karma is waking that person up. Person doesn't have control because past karma is controlling that, which one has to exhaust. So one will come out of that sleep. When that karma is not there to exhaust, one will not come out of sleep. So some people pass on in sleep because karma is over. And that's how they were destined to exit from this body. So they exited, finished. So the idea here is this waking up requires sadhana. From spiritual standpoint, the ignorance has to be removed. That requires sadhana. And in the right perspective, in the right direction, with the right clarity, one has to do that sadhana. So here he says that for this person who is dreaming, unless that person doesn't wake up, there is no end of the dream experience. Same way in this world for the Jiva. How will this freedom from ignorance come? So we are in the Bhagavatam. So the freedom from ignorance will come through supreme devotion to the Lord, who is the Supreme Guru. And he says that when this bhakti comes, then aversion will all go away, raga dvesha will go away. And the more one listens to the devotees doing satsang on Bhagwan and his glories and his leelas, more one will develop that bhav. The important point in sadhana is to develop feeling, bhav. And that bhav will come when there is bhakti, when there is something that we really adore, admire. Then we forget the ego. Then we surrender. So here it is. Nectarine stories of Lord Vishnu recited by exalted souls. And when the person is ready and has understood limitations of karma, really wants to come out of this cycle of birth and death, with that intensity, eagerness, one listens to the stories. So he says here, hunger and thirst, fear, grief, infatuation never afflict those who drink in such stories with intent ears. Such people, Bhagwan stories are also like that. The ordinary thing, some movie we are seeing or somebody, talking something, and then we are so absorbed in that. It is finite thing. It is Bhagwan's glory. If one really listens, there's so much devotion one develops, the glory of the Lord, and that is very real. These other things are still in the plane of illusion. Bhagwan alone is the real. Bhagwan alone is real. So, if one has that single-pointedness, ananya bhav, then this will happen. one forgets hunger, thirst, all that. When one remembers Bhagavan, even for days you saw the story of Dhruva. So many days he was doing tapasya. Mind is not even coming down to body level. One does not even feel that I should go, I should eat, I should drink some water, nothing. One is absorbed. Mind remains in a state of absorption. So that's what he says here. Those who take delight, for them, all this will not trouble. Then he says, Brahmaji, Shivji, Swayambhu Manu, Daksha, other Prajapatis, Sanat Kumars, they vowed to perpetual celibacy. And even all the great rishis who expound the Vedas, Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu, Bhrigu, Vasishta, including himself, Naradji, he says, we have not been able to even to this day behold the Supreme Lord in his full glory, in spite of all their efforts to perceive him through asceticism, worship, concentration of the mind. So he says that even this Vedic knowledge, the depth of it, which is not easy to comprehend, and even though worshipping forms of Indra and other gods endowed with various traits and characteristics, as indicated by the Vedas, we fail to know the Supreme. Now he's saying that even all of us have done that. All these great people have tried to know the Supreme through the path of karma, rituals as prescribed by the Vedas. And he says we have failed to comprehend the Supreme. The Devata will get propitiated, will come, give some blessing, and that blessing will be there for Yajman as per their sankalpa, whatever they desire. But that will be finite. It will give a certain result. For that also, that karma has to be done thoroughly, without any errors, with the right intention, without any chanting problems. Many things. Mantra lopa, tantra lopa, kriya lopa, shakti lopa, kala lopa, niyamadi vihita lopa. So many lopas are there. So many mistakes one can commit. All those one has to be alert. Do it with the best procedure, process, intention. Then the Devata is pleased and the Devata will come and give the result, and that person will experience some blessings, whatever one sought. But the result will still be incomplete. It is like the dream analogy he gave. It's just a change from one level, in the same level from one thing to the other. Absolute one doesn't know. So he says, even we, now if great rishis like them, they have failed because they have done it properly as given in the Veda, but still through the ritual they could not realize. Please remember, we are talking about absolute freedom here. Absolute freedom cannot be a product of any ritual. That we have to understand, which is what he was telling Prachinabarhi Raja. Don't stop doing puja, japa, etc. And now Adhik Mas is coming, Adhikasya Adhikam Phalam. We are supposed to do as much sadhana as we can, and it will have Akshaya Phalam also, infinite result. Don't say, after all, it is karma only, then what is the point of doing any of that? This will not lead to mukti. The choice we don't have actually. If we don't do this karma, we are anyway going to do some other karma. We can't sit quietly and just be. Might as well do karmas for Bhagwan, but with the clarity that I don't want anything, I want only realization of the truth. So may this purify the mind. So that's why he says this. How will one know the Supreme Lord then? He says, when you contemplate on the Lord in the heart. When contemplated upon in the heart, the Lord showers his grace on some particular individual. The devotee so blessed gives up his faith, however deep-rooted in the worldly usage as well as in the Vedic ritual. That's what it is. But that person has come to deserve this grace of Bhagavan only through this process of sadhana. Through the rituals, purified the mind, dedicating those to Bhagavan. And then with that pure mind contemplates on the true nature of Bhagavan, then the grace of the Lord descends on this person. So he says that therefore, O Prachinabarhi, do not regard rituals as real. Tasmat karmasu barhishman ajnanad arthakashishu martha drishtim kritha shrotra sparshishvasprishta vastushu. So, do not regard rituals as real. Rituals which, though their accounts are alluring to here, have no relation whatsoever with the ultimate reality. Ultimate reality is the illuminer of the equipment, body, mind, intellect. It does not get affected by anything that the body, mind, intellect does. Like this light will not get affected. Whatever happens below it, it's just illuminer. So here, that's why he says that it has no connection whatsoever with the reality. They appear real only through ignorance. It is not that they are by themselves real. But because of ignorance, it appears as though karma is the supreme, and which is why one is stuck. See, one may say, oh, this Prachinabarhi Raja is stuck to karma. What is the point? We all are stuck to karma. We are only the Prachinabarhi Raja. And with Puranjana also we are only. Through the Puranjan story, Prachinabarhi Raja is being explained, is being told about the limitations of rituals and how the Jiva lives and what kind of extroverted life the Jiva has and how the Jiva suffers, forgets who one is, and that Avijñata is the friend of ours, whom we have forgotten, the unknown self, and then we are running behind so many things. So he says here this. Men of impure understanding who speak of Vedas as devoted to rituals are not really conversant with the Vedas. Now, if somebody says the purpose of Veda is only to do rituals, and there are so many people who say that, in the past, people used to say, every single mantra in the Veda is for a ritual, including Upanishad mantras. Amnayartha kriyartha, amnayasya kriyarthatvat. Is only meant for ritual. So even the Veda mantra, even the mantras of the Upanishads, they will do chanting. They say this is meant for chanting, though it is not telling you to do any ahuti. You just chant these Veda mantras and it will give you so much of punya karma. With that you will go to heaven. That Upanishadic mantras which one can contemplate upon and realize the truth and be free from cycle of birth and death. Some people will say that those mantras you chant in the Vedic way with the right intonations and regular chanting will generate punya karma. Vedic chanting is so powerful. And you will get heaven, you will enjoy, you will get more and more, whatever comforts, luxuries, even when you are reborn. That is some people's mindset. So he says they don't know. Men of impure understanding who speak of Vedas as devoted to rituals are not conversant with the Vedas. Why? Because they don't know what is the Atma. They don't know the truth about the spirit. That is their own essence. And where dwells Lord Janardana. So he tells now clearly to Prachinabarhi Raja, this Naradji, no fear. You see, that's the power of knowledge also and detachment also. He is not scared. Especially, the Prachinabarhi Raja, he does so much of slaughter of animals and all that for rituals. So he says, he doesn't feel scared. If I tell the truth, what if he kills me? You see what he tells him. So, if you remember, he did a ritual and the entire earth was filled with the grass and the grass was pointing towards the east, so Prachinabarhi. He says that when you did the ritual, filled the earth with grass and it was pointing towards the east, through that you have grown arrogant and proud of your extensive slaughter of animals. You know nothing about the ritual, nor of what is higher than that, which is the realization of the self. Why? Very, very nice line. He says, that alone is called a ritual which conduces to the pleasure of Sri Hari. And that alone is wisdom which leads to faith in him. Simple. That is called a ritual. If you remember in the third canto, we saw Dharma, Purushartha. Daksha Prajapati also doing one big yajna, but he didn't call Bhagavan for it. What is the point of any big ritual if Bhagavan is not involved? Bhagavan is not invoked, invited, and the karma is not dedicated to Bhagavan. So this is what he says. Savai priyatamaschatma yato na bhayamanyapi iti veda savai vidwan yo vidwan sagurur harihi. Oh, this is the last one, earlier one. Tat karma haritosham yat sa vidya tan materiya. That is the meaning. The ritual is that which pleases Bhagavan, and wisdom is that which will increase our faith in Bhagavan. If ritual is devoid of this surrender and this reduction of the ego, if one feels I am a great king, I did so much of rituals, I got so much punya, it's not easy to do, I'm powerful because of the ritual, then one is ignorant and it's not wisdom. Harid deha bhrita matma swayam prakriti ishvaraha tatpada moolam sharanam yatakshemo dhanamiha. So he says that Bhagavan is the self of all the beings and he is the independent cause. He is the self in us, he is the self in all beings, and he is independent of all this also. So the feet of Bhagavan are the true abode of refuge for the Jiva. And the true safety is also there in him. In the world, there may be some temporary thing which can protect us in some ways, but those themselves perish. How will they protect? So who is the real protector? Who is the security? He says Bhagavan. And finally, he says that he is the most beloved one, the very self from whom there is not the least fear. How interesting is that? There is no fear from Bhagavan. Bhagavan is our well-wisher alone. Yet people say, we should fear God. Our culture doesn't say we should fear God. It says we should love God. And God also loves us. If we do adharma, we should be scared of our mind pulling us towards adharma. Only when we do something wrong, will the law of karma also activate itself, and then the result will come where we will face sorrow. Otherwise, there's nothing to fear. Even if we have made some mistake, we surrender to Bhagavan and say, I am sorry, I made that mistake, now I will not do. Bless me with the strength to deal with the result, whatever will come. No fear. So here he says, the Bhagavan is the one from whom there is least fear, no fear at all. As a matter of fact, he alone is wise who knows this truth, and he is wise. He who is wise is the true preceptor, Bhagavan himself. Now, Naradji continues, and he says that the story about Prachinabarhi that Naradji told, about Puranjana that Naradji told Prachinabarhi Raja asked the question saying, tell me the symbolism, I can't understand what this story is all about. So Naradji explained all that. Now he says, I will tell you a hidden truth. Atra me vadato guhyam nishamaya sunischitam. So he tells him to imagine. What should he imagine? He should imagine a deer. And what is that deer doing? The deer is fondly consorting with its female companion. And two male and female deers are there. They are happily consorting. Where? In a garden of flowers, grazing tiny blades of grass, and the ears are charmed by the sweet humming of the swarms of bees. These two, male and female, happily they are eating these blades of grass, listening to the music, a beautiful, charming garden, company of each other they have. What are they oblivious of? A pack of bloodthirsty wolves are there. And also there is a hunter And the shafts of the hunter, the arrow of the hunter will shoot, he will shoot, and it will just pierce their heart and they kill them. They are oblivious of all this. What are they doing? Enjoying in the heaven, in the garden. So he tells, Naradji tells Prachinabarhi Raja, you imagine this picture. Now he gives the symbolism. He says that you are that deer who is after this dose of sense delights, such as the pleasure of taste and copulation. And why that craving is there? Obtained as a result of actions done, sakama karma done in the past, punya is accumulated. With that desire, you wanted to enjoy. So that's why you are enjoying and you are getting all this, the kingdom and the power and the enjoyment, everything. Because some past karma one has done, sakama karma one has done. The kamya karma vipakajam, kama sukhalavam. So he says that's the reason that you are getting this. And what is that? The smell of the honey in the flowers. The deers are in the garden. There is a smell of honey in the flowers, a slight smell of honey. The swarm of bees is there. So he says this honey is a house, in a house full of women sharing the nature of blossoms. Now, pairing with women, you have given your mind to them, your ears completely lured by the exceedingly charming talks of beloved women and children, resembling the sweet hummings of the swarms of bees. You enjoy life at home, setting no value on the moments of time. So, absorbed in that enjoyment, he doesn't know the time. Is every moment our time is getting reduced. Life is ebbing away. So he says that this day and night, they prey upon your life like a pack of wolves. And here is death, the hunter, stalking you and striking you with his veiled arrow from a distance. And lo, your heart has been pierced with the same. Finished. That's how death comes. One doesn't know, one doesn't expect. It just happens. Sometimes one is expecting it doesn't happen, all because of karma. But the point here is what? The person lives in this way, unmindful of the real purpose, not knowing Bhagavan, trusting only one's own karma. So he says here, this is how death comes. Now, thus pondering the career of the deer, restrain your mind within the four walls of your heart. Meaning don't allow it to roam in the sense objects by imagination, sankalpa, desires, fanciful imaginations. He says, don't do that, withdraw. And the ears, eyes, all these senses they crave. He says, withdraw all of them. Drop household life. Say, renounce it. Where you are simply listening to gossip of so many people, you leave all that and please Bhagavan and withdraw from everything else. That's the only solution to free from cycle of birth and death. Otherwise, as we saw earlier, three gunas, they take the jiva into higher worlds, into the middle portions, into the nether worlds. And the jiva takes new bodies and goes through so many ups and downs. Where will that end? And karma is not a solution for that. So what is the solution? He says, you drop all this, take refuge of Hari. Now, this Prachinabarhi Raja heard all this. He didn't feel, how can Naradji tell me all this? I am a great king. That is one good thing, at least some punya he must have done, that first of all Naradji came. And then Naradji gave him this upadesh even unasked. So this Prachinabarhi Raja at least had that humility. He didn't get upset. So he said that I have heard and pondered, O holy sage, on what you have said. See that. Shrutam anvikshitam brahman bhagavan yadabhashata naitad janantyupadhyayaha ha kimnam Bruyu hu vidur yadi. I have heard what you have said. I have heard from you what you have said, and I have pondered upon it. And then I feel that my teachers who taught me about this karma and rituals, they didn't know this. Because if they knew, they would have taught. And the great doubt raised in my mind by their words on this subject has been resolved by you. The doubt was that only, that how, Jiva gets free, and that Puranjana, who is that Puranjana, what happened to him, what is the symbolism? And through the limitations of karma and realization, the path of the truth, surrender to Bhagavan, all that became clear to him. And what exactly is a ritual which will please Hari, that alone is a true ritual. So he says, I understand all this. Even the sages are bewildered by this realm which is beyond the senses. Leaving, now the question he asks, you see. Now, leaving here the body with which the Jiva performs the rituals, he gets the result of good karmas, bad karmas in a future life through another body. Now, he says, how can this be? Veda says all this, that, somebody will be experiencing, the Jiva will experience the result of their karma, this life and life after. Now, the body is dropped. The body with which this ritual was done, that body is dropped. Another body is taken up. And the result of this one may get in that body. He says, how can that be? Question is, whatever action recommended in the Vedas is actually performed goes out of sight and is no longer visible. So what is not visible, meaning the karma is finished, is not visible. Now, when something is intangible, invisible like this, then how will it give good karma and bad karma? Because it by itself is over. So if the karma didn't come now, it's finished. There's no karma now. Here's the question. Iti veda vidam vadaha shruyate tatra tatraha karma yat kriyate proktam paroksham na prakashate. It is paroksha. It is not visible now, not tangible. Na prakashate. It does not exist anymore. Now, Naradji gives. See, these are questions that even today people have or not. The Bhagavatam, we may think that, is hundreds and thousands of years old. But these questions are there even today. And in fact, these questions are more today because more one has become very attached to the worldly things and the body, etc. So that's why one thinks that there's no, who has seen afterlife? There's only one life. Whatever results are there, it will be here only. If it is not here, then it is dissolved, it disappears. What illogical thinking that is. Then how will the Jiva continue the next birth? And the point is then, by saying this birth has become an accident, a product of chance. Just like that it is created. How that will work? Body may be left here and the Jiva is getting another body, and through that the Jiva is experiencing the result there. The Jiva is the same, body is different. But just because one body is finished doesn't mean that the karma is over and the karta bhav is over and the Jiva is not there anymore. That is a wrong understanding. So now Naradji replies that the Jiva itself experiences the karmas. Narada Uvacha. Yenaiva rabhate karma tenaiva amutra tatpuman bhumte hyavya vadhanena lingena manasa swayam. Very clear. Who did the karma? That person only is experiencing. Who did the karma? Body did not do. Body is only a tool. Jiva is the karta. That Jiva who did the karma, that Jiva only reaps the result. So he says Jiva itself experiences the consequences of its actions hereafter through the same subtle body. Same subtle body which did karma in one body in this life will carry forward and experience the karma phala in the next life. So the same subtle body, the mind by which he performs those actions and which continues uninterrupted. That same Jiva will keep on doing karma life after life. One feels, if somebody asks, how old are you? I am 55 years old. I am 60 years old. And if somebody says 1 year lesser or more, 1 year more, then the person feels, no, I'm not 60. I am 59. Acha. That's the age of the body. What is the age of the jiva? No age at all. How many jiva, how many bodies one has taken, how many lives one has gone through? And what is the first birth of the jiva? That is not known only. And it is impossible to know it because ignorance is the cause of it. So this beginningless jiva is traveling, same jiva is traveling across so many yonis and going through all kinds of ups and downs. Bodies, the jiva has changed how many bodies? But the subtle body remains the same, which is carrying forward. So that's why he says that just as in a dream, a man ceases to identify himself with this physical body, which remains lying asleep and breathing, and experiences the fruits of his actions, which are stored in his mind. So whatever is gathered in the mind, in the dream, it will come out. The body is lying quietly. He is giving this analogy to say that the dead body may be there, gross body may be down somewhere, but the jivatma has departed from that body. And the jivatma is going through experiences. So he says this, so does he reap the fruits of his action in a previous life through another body similar to this or belonging to different species. Whatever karma he has done in previous life, based on that one will get the body. So the same jiva will continue and will experience. Whatever body the jiva cleaves to with his mind, saying, these are mine, meaning wife, children, all, and this is I, this body is I. Then whatever karmas are done through that body, one says, I am doing it. So one takes up the karta bhav. And to experience the karma phala of that, then the jiva has to take birth again and again. So that's the cycle of birth and death that happens. Now, he says that just as the existence of the directing mind is inferred from both types of activities of the indriyas, meaning jnanendriya, karmendriya, we can't see the mind, right? Lucky we can't see the mind, Bapare. People can see the mind and will be, in one way it is good if we can see the mind, because at least we will know who that real person is and we will not get cheated. Otherwise, they have something in their mind, they are talking something, they are behaving some other way. But in one way it is good, we don't see the minds of people. Then how do we know mind exists? The brain is a different thing with a physical organ. Mind is that which functions through the brain. So the senses, when they function, there is one coordinator which coordinates all the functioning of the senses and presents a complete picture. So from the functioning of the senses, we infer the existence of the mind, even though it is not perceptible to the senses. In that same way, he says that what has nowhere been experienced and is unseen and unheard of in this life is sometimes perceived with the mind in its actual form and character. This is another reason he gives. First reason he gives is that from the sensory activities, we infer the existence of a mind. In the same way, the jiva goes through so many experiences. The jiva is not visible to us, but the body and the karma, from there we infer that there is a jivatma which is going from one body to another, though it is not physically perceptible to us. Psychically, one can communicate with the jiva also, but physically, not possible to see. So they are in a subtler realm. We are in a grosser realm. So now here he says, the second reason he gives, very interesting reason this is. Many times in the dream, we see certain things which we have not experienced in this life at all. And it is not a product of wild imagination. This is written in Bhagavatam. I am not saying it on my own or somewhere. Some people cook it up. It's not like that. Very clearly it is said here that you see this. Yatha anumiyate chittam ubhayair indriye hitaihi evam prag dehajam karma lakshyate chitta vrittibhi lakshyate. What we experience sometimes in this life, while dreaming, we have not experienced any of those things in this life. Then from where is that coming? How is that coming in my dream? And sometimes it will come repeatedly also. He says that is another proof that the Jiva is the same. Body has been left behind. But that Jiva is the same which has gathered impressions in the subtle body, and that subtle body is now connected to this new body. So some of the impressions of the past lives are there in that subtle body, in the chitta, and they come in the dream. So obviously it means that the dream is one of the proofs for reincarnation, rebirth. That's why he says this. Therefore, O king, be positive in your mind that such an object was experienced in a previous life by that Jiva identified with a subtle body. For an object that has not been experienced before can never even flash on the mind. Very important, one has to remember this. Tenasya tadrisham rajan lingino deha sambhavam shraddhatsva ananubhutortho namana sprashtum arhati. Ananubhutortha. Bhutortha. If one has not experienced something, it will not flash in the mind at all. That it is coming in the dream is a proof that Jiva has existed in the past. So he says the proof of rebirth is the very mind of the person. Such a nice shloka. He says, Mana eva manushasya purva rupani shamsati. What is the proof of rebirth? Your mind only. How nice. We don't have to search anywhere else. The logic of cause and effect, all that he gave, but experiential. How do I experience rebirth? So proof. This is the proof. So many things which we have not experienced in this life, we will see in the dream. From where it came. So, mana eva manushasya purva rupani shamsati. Bhavishyatascha bhadram te tathaivana bhavishyata. There is all about future also. And so he says that it will reveal former existence in past lives as well as future ones in the case of the man who is going to be reborn. And even so indicates the liberation of the man who is not going to be so reborn. It will indicate all. Bhavishyatascha bhadram te. Because each one's mind will be different, will be different levels of purity. So for some people, it will indicate that this person is going to be reborn because so many karmas are there. For some people, the mind has got so purified, no vasanas, no seed of selfishness, attachment, all that. So no rebirth. So the mind itself is enough. Sometimes in a dream, a thing altogether unseen, unheard of in this world in relation to a particular place, time or action is seen flashing on one's mind. How this happens should be inferred and does not disprove in any way the proposition which was said in the earlier verse. Meaning one has to infer that this has happened somewhere, I have gone through it, that impression is there, which is what is now coming up. Though in this life I may not have gone through that experience or remember having gone through it. But it must be some impression collected in some past life. Now, having said this, a mind established in the quality of sattva, unmixed with rajas and tamas, and staying by the side of the Lord through meditation, etc. The whole of the universe flashes, being united as it were with the Lord. Bhagavan is Ishvara, is the supreme cause. The one who is identified with Bhagavan experiences the entire universe. The individual Jiva is waiting, I am one small creator. I am one small creature in this big creation, and there's a creator separate. Somebody who has woken up knows that I am the source of this whole universe, this entire dream world. Of course, that analogy there, dream world disappears and the person wakes up, but that's a limitation. So here he says this, that the devotee of Bhagavan will experience this. Why should one run behind some petty things in the world and go in the cycle of birth and death? So here gives another example. Just as Rahu appears in conjunction with the moon during lunar eclipse, in that way this Bhakta and Bhagavan, they experience that identification. So the feeling of I and mine with regard to the body and the people inhering in the Jiva does not cease so long as subtle body, which has existed from time without beginning, as long as that persists, so long this feeling of I and mine and this Jiva will not cease. From beginningless time it has been there. Till the oneness with the Lord is not experienced, till that time this I and mine will not cease. And this mind and the senses and the pranas, etc., they will migrate from one body into another. This will keep happening. During sleep, in the unconscious state, and in agony, as well as at the time of death and high fever, the I consciousness does not manifest itself due to the suspension of sense activity. In these four examples he gives, during sleep, in the unconscious state, agony at the time of death, and high fever. Sense of I is not there. Not because it is dissolved, it has become dormant. It is not expressing fully. The senses being not fully developed during gestation and infancy too. Another example, fifth one he gives is the childhood, the gestation period in the womb and then the childhood. He says at that time also the senses not being fully developed during gestation and in infancy too. The conditioning ego appears in the form of 10 indriyas, and the mind in a young man is not distinctively perceived. And the analogy given is like the Amavasya. In the form of, in those periods any more than the orb of the moon on the last night of a lunar month. Then he says, even though the world of senses does not really exist, the cycle of birth and death does not cease for the Jiva, who is engrossed in the thought of the pleasures and senses, any more than the reverses experienced in a dream. Meaning, until one wakes up, one will never be able to get free from the sorrows of that dream. Though that dream is not real by itself, identified with that dream world, one is going through all that as real. And the only real cure for it is wake up. Which is what he's saying to Raja Prachinabarhi, how much ever karma you do, it will still be that aham and mama will remain, and one will go from one body into another. And how long will you keep doing this? Wake up. That's the only solution. Then he continues to give the little more description, saying the subtle body made up of 5 elements develops into this, the 5 pranas, mind, and the 10 indriyas, so the 16 modifications. It is a product of 3 gunas. That is called as the Jiva now, who is having 3 gunas and the 16 elements, because the mind is considered one here. 5 pranas, 10 indriyas, 1 mind. In Tattvabodh, we say 5 pranas, 10 indriyas, mind, intellect, memory, ego. So the 19 items. Don't get confused. All the 4 man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar included in one here. It is the mind. So now this 16 is the Jiva, which has enlivening by the consciousness. Now it is through this subtle body, the Jiva Bhav, the Jiva Atma, that the new bodies are taken. By the Jiva experiences the karma phala through new bodies. So what goes out from one body and takes up another body is the Jiva Atma, not the Atma by itself. The pure, unconditioned, infinite consciousness is everywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. Iski Atma chali gayi is a wrong expression technically. We say Jivatma. So Jivatma is migrated from this body and is seeking another body. Atma doesn't go anywhere. So this Jivatma goes and experiences joy, sorrow, fear, pleasure, pain. And he gives another nice analogy. This caterpillar does not leave its foothold on one leaf unless it has caught another one properly. Same way, Jiva does not give up its identification with the previous body even while dying until it takes another body with the exhaustion of karma. It is the mind alone that brings about the birth and rebirth of living beings, meaning that Jiva does not drop attachment to that previous body till it gets the next one. Meaning full attachment is not gone. Obviously, the person is ejected out of the body. Attachment is where? In the mind. So in the mind, it's still, that's why one does all the rites and rituals, etc. So that that attachment to this body, it will drop and then keep moving ahead in the journey. Otherwise, one is torn between this and that. Until one doesn't get, that's why the Preta Sharira is there. And the Preta Sharira is not a very pleasant Sharira to be in. It is predominantly made up of Vayu. One has to cross that Preta Sharira and then go to appropriate worlds and experience the results. So Shraddha Karma, etc. are done. Tarpan and Pindadan and this Brahman Bhoj and all that is done for this, that helps that Jiva to drop that identification with this body and let it move ahead in the evolution. Once it crosses the Bhuvar Loka, it goes into another, as per the result, whichever Loka it will go to. Then the attachment to that body is over. And that's one reason why we burn the body immediately. You keep the body there. Some jivas will try to enter the body also. Karma, of course, doesn't allow that. If karma is not there, one will not be able to do. But one may do, because whatever one is attached to, one will keep doing again and again. One will want to repeat that experience. So here he says, no. His mind keeps doing this, so it is still identified. And so the question which was asked, that the result is over and the action is over and we don't see the result. So how can one get the result? Because the karta is the same. That is the law of karma. The karta of the karma will be the bhokta of the karma phala. Equipment is only in two different bodies, that's all. So that's why it says it is the mind that brings about birth and death of the living beings. Meaning the dehatma bhav, jiva apna bhav. Now when a jiva does sakama karma, again and again, thinking of this temporary pleasure that one wants, for that one is doing the rituals, etc. Yadakshais charitan dhyayan karmanya chinute asakrit sati karmanya vidyayam bandha karmanyanatmanaha. Now that he says here that thinking of sense pleasures, when this jiva keeps doing rituals again and again, through the senses it is bound by such actions of the body, so long as they continue to be performed by it through ignorance. So the only solution is remove this ignorance. Therefore, in order to get rid of this bondage, worship Sri Hari with all your being. Atastat padavadartham bhaja sarvatmana harim pashyan stadatmakam vishvam fityutpatyapyayataha. And understand this Hari is the one who is appearing as this whole universe also, and is also the one who sustains, so who creates, sustains, and into whom the universe goes back. Understand Hari to be that supreme reality. This Jiva Bhav can surrender only to that Ishvara Tattva. Anywhere else we surrender, it is very temporary. We want something, then we accept everything that the other person says. And sometimes people become yes men also. But that will not give permanent result. That will be temporary. If we want fulfillment and freedom from cycle of birth and death, he says worship Hari. Now, having said all this, Naradji went, Maitreya Rishi says, Naradji went away to his abode. And what did Prachinbarhi Raja do? He got the clarity. Naradji himself came and taught. He got the clarity. He said, enough now. I have been doing so many rituals. And what has it led me to? Only finiteness. Worshipping Bhagavan, I can realize the truth. That's why he told her, renounce all this. Naradji told him very clearly, you renounce all this and go and take refuge of Bhagavan Hari alone. So this Prachinbarhi Raja, what does he do? He leaves instructions for his sons to take care of the people. Now the royal says, see, Prachinbarhi Rajarshi, a Rajarshi now. Raja who became a Rishi. In this context, that is what it means. Praja Sargabhirakshane Adishya Putran Agatam Atapase Kapil Ashramam. He went to Kapil Muni's ashram on the banks of Ganga and he started doing tapasya there. And what happened? Tatrai Kagra Manak Viro Govinda Charanam Bhujam Vimukta Sango Anubhajan Bhaktya Tat Samyatam Agat. Now this person, this Raja Prachinbarhi, with single pointed devotion, he worshipped Bhagavan, dropped all his attachment, and he attained Sarupya Mukti. That Samyatam Agat. Samyatam means same form. Sarupya Mukti he got. So this concludes the portion of the story about Prachinbarhi Raja. Now Falashruti is given that he who reads and even so he who listens to this allegorical dissertation. Now please remember Bhagavat itself is saying this is allegorical, this is Prachinbarhi, not Prachinbarhi. Puranjana Raja's Upakhyan is not historical real. It is a story created by Naradji to explain certain things to Prachinbarhi Raja. So, delivered by the celestial sage Narada, O pure-hearted Vidura, that person is rid once for all of his subtle body. He who assimilates as sung by others this self-purifying discourse sanctifies the whole world through the glory of Lord Vishnu and which confers the highest reward. This katha is freed from all bondage and no longer revolves in the samsara. Thus have I understood the meaning of this wonderful allegorical teaching on the subject of the spirit. With the help of this, the self-identification of a jiva with the buddhi is eradicated and all doubts regarding life after death resolved. This is Prachinbarhi Raja's portion now. Now what happened? His children had gone, no? And they pleased Lord Shiva and Lord Shiva taught them how to worship Bhagavan Hari, the Prachetas. So now that will come, that portion, and with that this canto will end. That we will take up in our next class. Any questions for today?
Hari Om Swamiji. You had said here that the body before dying chooses another body. Have I misunderstood it?
Not chooses, does not stop identifying with this body. Its identification is complete with another body. It is not choosing. See, the karma will take that person as per the karma phala to get appropriate body. Now the person can't choose, okay, I will choose this body. No. Whatever prarabdha karma, from the Sanchit karma, whatever prarabdha is ready to give result, based on that, the body will be there. So, till that person doesn't fully identify with that particular body, one will continue to identify with the previous one. So, the identification will keep changing. First, it is 100%. So, one hovers around that place. Then slowly one is pushed and the identification keeps reducing. but it is still there till one gets identified with that. And many times identification, when it is not completed, meaning with the new body, one is still having some lingering attachment to the past body. The person, that Jiva, will recollect the past life, which is why we see some children and so many cases where they will recollect the past life and they will say, take me here, I was this person, I died like this, and this is my room, and these are my things, and all that the person will say. Why? Because that memory is still there. Reorganizing of memory actually happens at the time of death, and through the process till one gets new body, and even after getting new body, it is still going on. It is why children will sleep so long, and suddenly they will smile, suddenly they will frown in the sleep, because the memory is getting reorganized and they are going through some experiences. So yeah, one is not choosing it. It happens by karma only.
Okay, so I misunderstood. I thought that it has already chosen the next body and then it leaves the present body, but that's not it.
No, it is chosen in the sense, if we say that based on the karma, the body is going to come now that way. That's all. There is no conscious choice like how we, as of now, we experience choice so evidently. Like that, it is not there. Now I will choose this body. That is not possible.
Okay, Hari Om. Okay.
So, Swamiji, when the person dies in a sleep, or maybe the person is sick for so many years, have no senses, like they are in coma or something. So, does their memory still stays like that?
No, it will stay. Because the Jiva is having that, no? The Jiva is having the...
So, body is in coma, like brain is dead, is dead. But the memory, the subtle part is aware of everything, and that's how they take the birth accordingly then.
Correct. Chitta is there. Now, only the physical organ is going through challenge, the brain, the mind and memory. So, memory, mind, intellect, ego, man, buddhi, chitta, ahanka, that is the Jivatma, right? That continues. So, it will have all the samskars.
So, is it like that when the person is having over attachment with their surrounding or the people or something, and the person dies and they stay for longer time in the that Pitru Lok or whatever we say, the Bhut Yoni or whatever. So it's difficult for them to get into the another body.
That is one possibility. They necessarily won't be only in Pitru Loka. They can be in Bhuvar Loka also. They can be, so Bhuvar Loka is in between world, between here and the higher worlds. So it depends on what level of attachment they have. Then they will take more time to clear Bhuvar Loka. And then, of course, as per their karma, see, once you cross Bhuvar Loka, you will go to Pitru Loka or Deva Loka or whichever, Jana Loka, Mahaloka, Tapaloka, Satya Loka, or whichever, Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Rasatal, Mahatal, Patal, all this based on the karma only. So in general, what principle I understand is this much, that the Jiva is in the Bhuvar Loka, in the Preta Sharira, and if the attachment of the Jiva is very high, that Jiva will take more time to clear the Bhuvar Loka and drop the Preta Sharira. That's why the rituals will help that to enlighten that Jiva, and then the power of mantras is also there, and the meaning which we remember and we recollect and we dedicate it to that Jiva, all that will help that Jiva to move ahead.
Yeah, but in Jainism or maybe in the Western countries where they don't believe in these 13 days rituals and everything, so how their Jiva will be like it will automatically take their path, or what is it?
Ignorance of the law is no excuse, okay?
No, they believe in God. It is not that they don't believe in God.
I'm not talking about God at all in this context. I'm saying if they don't know how to help the Jiva who is in Bhuvar Loka, it is not that that Jiva escapes. Attachment is still there. We have to understand the principle, no? The attachment is still there to the body of the Jiva. Then that Jiva will hover. And I'm saying it's a matter of, in science also, if you see, so many things, if we don't know, are we spared the effects of it or what? No. If you do certain thing, it will come. The result will come. One can't escape. So better it is to become aware. So that's what our culture says, at least, that the law of karma works like this. Whether somebody believes it or not, law of karma is going to function. So whether you believe in ritual or you don't believe in ritual, it is based on that. You may do that ritual or not do the ritual, but the effect of that on that jiva, if you do, is definitely going to be there. And effect of it, if you don't do, also is going to be there, that the jiva will struggle. Now, if you know, if you understand and you do it, it will help. So many foreigners have done this and they have experienced the peace. This, what is his name? That famous actor who acted in this Rambo movies and all that. I forget the name of that actor.
Sylvester Stallone.
No. Sylvester Stallone. He was being troubled so much by the memory of his child. He came to India, finally he did Shraddha Karma, and all his dream troubles and so many anxieties he was having about the child and the thoughts ceased. All ceased, gone. Because he got a closure also, and the child also got one closure and went ahead.
So it's a kind of a ignorance, they don't do it. And when some effects comes on them, that time they try to find the remedy. And that's how they come to know
Correct.
About rituals and everything.
Correct. So many examples like that. Our people are not talking. So many people today apply that. Now they call a planchette and they contact their child or anybody who has passed on, and then they'll give messages and they will read through that. What does all that mean? There is an existence of life after death. 1. 2, they are telling also certain things, that we are in this state, we are in that state. Is all that is, it is factual. I'm not talking of somebody who's doing anything to exploit people. I'm talking about genuine.
That's a literature about it, that it's like a Jyotish Shastra, like that. This is the Vidya when they can talk to the spirits. And
all. They will talk, they will invoke, they will explain also, and they don't know anything about that Jivatma who has passed. The Jivatma is talking and the person who is here is listening, saying, yeah, this is what it is and all that. Now, if we understand all this, and we have Shraddha in the Shastra, and then we also have some examples like this, then we should just do these rituals. But imagine the people from there, they come here and do. John T. Rhodes came here and did Shraddha. Sylvester Stallone came here and he is doing. It goes on like that. So many people who are not aware of this, who are abroad, they have sometimes more clarity and they try to do what our scriptures are saying. Our people, they take pride.
I've told my family.
I have told my family, don't do any ritual after me. This is all a waste of time and waste of money. Uske badle daan kar do. Arey daan karo, no problem with daan. But do ritual also. Every karma is its own karma phala. That one doesn't understand. So once we know that, okay, this is what the scripture is saying, then we have to do it, because it is for our good and for the good of the jiva. And please also remember, our culture says there is a bond, there is a duty. If the child does not do Shraddha Karma for the parent,
Pitru
Runa will accumulate. That is called Rinanubandha. Now again you have to meet some point in time in the cycle of creation. Why do you want to do all that? Do the duty that is given, obligatory.
No, we to do it, but we do with Shraddha.
No, I'm not saying about you. I'm saying generally
I'm saying that our age group, maybe they all are, but the new generation, they have too much effect of Western world, and then they give examples.
I understand the new generation, but our generation and our parent generation, so many our parent generation only are not doing. Forget the new generation doing.
Yeah.
Elders who are going now, they are telling about very proudly that behind me don't do any rituals.
Because they have not studied scriptures, no? So
correct. So that Some people have studied and still they feel, and some people's life, this knowledge has come also, still they feel it is superior to this, think like this. So,
But
So,
in this
Swami-
case, like when Prachinabarhi has been told that don't do any rituals and go through this, so they don't have to do this ritual also, or they do like later rituals about the Shraddha karma and all.
no, what you are saying is, even if that person has told and gone, don't do ritual, should we do or not? That's your question?
Yeah, no, what I say that Prachinabarhi was been said, no,
Prachinabarhi,
that he was very much attached to the rituals. So,
Ah.
so like we do rituals to take out our mind from the worldly duty or whatever the worldly disturbances there, coming in obstacles as obstacles to meet ourselves, to be in the like abide in the self. So for Prachinabarhi, I'm saying that if he has been told not to do any rituals, so
he was
this-
told to renounce.
his son will be doing these rituals, right? For him.
No, see, please understand two different points here. One is Sakama karma and one is the Shraddha karma. Okay. Now, this Sakama karma is what this Prachinabarhi Raja was doing, slaughtering animals and doing the invocation of devatas and getting power and fame and
Those
glory.
rituals not to be done.
Those rituals not to be done. And the Shraddha karma that his children have to do behind him, that they have to do. Unless now Prachinabarhi renounced everything and he went. If he took sannyas, then the children don't have to do anything, because then he is out of the cycle by himself. But he has to go. Naradji told him, you renounce grahastha and take up sannyas. And you contemplate on the self and understand that, take refuge of Hari, and that's the only real solution, and remove this ignorance. So he was told to do subtler sadhanas, which destroy the root of sorrow, which is ignorance. So he drops the ritual and goes and meditates. That's what they say. No? That he meditates.
So like you separate out the body, mind, intellect attachment, like that identification with the body, mind, intellect,
Right.
and then you abide in the pure self.
Correct.
So for that one has to, so at one point in your life, you have done lot of rituals and lot of karmas. So you can take that decision to be just, be in the ashram or somewhere where you can do the, contemplation on the self.
Correct. But your mind should be ready for it. Purified it should be. If it is not purified,
Then
it
you wait for it to happen naturally.
You have to take a conscious effort for it.
So you have to take the decision consciously. That
So-
okay, now, because
So-
we won't be coming to know that what our vasanas will be, even though you take that decision to stop ritual and contemplate on the self, or read more, or just
That is the different this thing where one will know. The pointers are given where there's not any craving for the sense pleasures, where the outgoing tendencies are reduced, where the Rajoguna to do lot of karma and achieve and great success and fame and all that is reduced. Fanciful imagination has reduced. The 6th chapter gives all this.
Yeah.
Then based on that, I have to introspect. Okay, am I having these qualifications? If I have these, then I'm ready to contemplate. Then I should renounce in that formal sense and go to the whatever ashram and all that. But if I don't have this and I drop, and then that is what Arjun was trying to do.
So
you are
you
not
go into
ready,
frustration.
then one will be frustrated.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Right.
Swamiji, what if one's children don't want to do the Shraddha karma and all? They only don't believe in it. And they say this
Don't
is all.
worry. Yeah, you take refuge of Bhagavan, full stop. If children don't want to do, you don't bother about it. You connect, you surrender to Bhagavan and do every day the sadhana, and Bhagavan will take care of the rest of the thing. And you tell the mind every day, I am not this body, I am not the Jiva. Bhagavan alone is the truth, and I surrender to Bhagavan. Full stop. The issue is not about ritual. The issue is about identification. Ritual is a solution. If you drop the identification only, then you don't need the ritual. No? This context comes when people are attached to the body and then they don't want to do the ritual. Drop the attachment to the body, drop the attachment to the Jiva Bhava. That is what Vedanta is telling us. If we do that, then ritual, if the children do or not do, doesn't matter at all after that. We are independent. Ho gaya kaam.
So correct, Swamiji. Thank you.
Right.
मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति धूम की, मंगल कांति हसनी दसनन की, मंगल मुरली दीना धुन की, मंगल आरती। मंगल बनिक त्रिभंगी हरि की, मंगल सेवा सब सहचर की, मंगल सिर चंद्रिका मुकुट की, मंगल छवि नयन में अटकी, मंगल आरती। पभी अंग अंग की, मंगल गौर श्याम रंग की, मंगल अति कटि पियरे पट की, मंगल चितमणि नागर नट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल शोभा कमल नयन की, मंगल माधुरी मृदुल पैन की, मंगल वृंदावन मद अटकी, मंगल क्रीडन जमुना तट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल चरण अरुण तरुवन की, मंगल करणी भगति हरिजन की, मंगल जुगल प्रिया बावन की, मंगल श्री राधा जीवन की, मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति दोन की, मंगल आरती। मंगल आरती। राधावर कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम्, नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतो यमग्निः, तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं, तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की।
ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।